Hey, what's happening, everyone? Cody Lefevre coming to you with the 719th training session without a rest day. This is squats, stiff leg deadlifts on the short bar, doing a 12 rep max of each, followed by 6 half sets. Those are 6 reps apiece, all at the same weight, keeping rest fairly low between these sets. You'll see in this session as I warm up here with just a plate on each side, I got the hip circle on. I decided to keep that through the working weights because it was making my hips feel better, keeping me in a better position. I do have an old hip injury that sometimes gives me trouble. Using the hip circle, I do find occasionally makes it feel better while I'm squatting. Now, that being said, there are some days where like the next day I'm crazy sore and got problems with my range of motion. Not so bad in this session. I was pretty good here. Gradually working on improving the weight, keeping the reps high. Again, like I've said in recent training videos, this is partly why I'm doing more of a bodybuilding phase, because just the heavy weights are not feeling that great on my body. I'm 35 years old, been doing this for a little bit, spent some time in the military, as you know, and not everything works the way it should. Anyways, let's talk about the training specifics here. You'll see I'm doing bookend pauses on these sets. I did a bookend pause with each of these half sets with a squat. Bookend pauses meaning the first and the last rep pause. Otherwise, I'm trying to keep a fairly normal tempo, a consistent range of motion, not going too deep. I was definitely pushing the depth a little bit too much on the squats this session. I knew that because the following day I was sore, not in such a good way. Did put on the weightlifting shoes for the first time in a long time. I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore. I just wanted to see how it would feel. Didn't really pay off. The next day after this, my knees and hips, back were all needlessly achy, more so than usual, but really not awful. It's not like I was totally crippled. It just kind of sucked a little bit. One of the things about my training right now is I'm not on a fixed schedule. I'm trying to squat and deadlift and press and bench and basically train every body part twice a week, though sometimes with squats and deadlifts it does get pushed back to where I'm maybe doing those once every 4 days. Unfortunately, it's been like that for like maybe the last 2 weeks. However, it's getting better for sure. So that's nice. The thing about general gains here is since I'm doing half sets after my rep max, the effort gap is wider, going from a 12 rep max to follow-up sets of 6 reps apiece. That effort gap means I can add in things like the bookend pauses, or I can focus on tempo. But what it really does help me do is dial into that mind-muscle connection, being aware of my posture and being more consistent with my bracing, staying in a good position, all of this good stuff that we would consider having good form, right? So it's really important, not just for powerlifting, but also for bodybuilding, like I said, for that mind-muscle connection, making sure you're training that right body part. These stiff leg deadlifts here are pretty new thing to me. I don't really do a lot of stiff leg deadlifts. I don't really know if I like the lift that much. I might just keep it in RDL. I haven't done a lot of stiff leg deadlifting in my powerlifting training, even from years ago. I didn't do a lot of stiff leg deadlifting, fairly infrequent on that lift. And, I just don't find it that effective for training the posterior chain by itself. But like if I'm doing the glute ham roller or something with it, maybe. I'm still working out the kinks here. Part of my training in this phase is to develop a more specific bodybuilding training plan. So those of you watching my videos who've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, you've used my training plans in the past, you're familiar with things like General Gains, UHF, the Rippler, GZCLP, all of these different programs I put out. Well, General Gains is a training framework, and it will come with specific training plans that work within that framework and various sorts of guidance so that you can personalize these plans to your needs and you essentially can start from scratch with your own concept, build and work within the framework, or you can use one of these training plans as a basis to start your training with general gains and improve it week by week based on your own performance metrics and those things that you want to focus in with your training. So previously, Jackson Tan 2.0, one of my most popular, if not my most popular training program, it was kind of the power building or bodybuilding training program that I put out and a lot of people used. The General Gains is going to have a bodybuilding program that's a little bit different than Jackson Tan 2.0, as it will work within the General Gains framework. However, that difference is going to also bias it more towards a actual bodybuilding program versus a hybrid of sorts, which Jackson Tan 2.0 was. Maybe not the best, the very best for peaking your lifts in a powerlifting sense, getting that 1 rep max at the end of the 12 weeks or whatever. A lot of people would just run the first 6 weeks on Jackson Tan 2.0, run that concurrently, and that's totally fine. I'm hoping to give as much, if not more, flexibility to the General Gains approach, but make it more specific to the bodybuilding approach, not a hybrid of sorts like Jackson Tan 2.0. So what you're seeing in my training these last few weeks is me working through some sessions, experimenting in the gym a little myself. I'm also getting feedback from clients of mine that are doing this kind of training. They're working with General Gains. They're doing different programs like Jackson Tan 3. That's not out. But I've had a number of clients run through a program that I've called Jackson Tan 3, and maybe I'll put that out as a hybrid. I'll probably put that out as a hybrid with General Gains, a hybrid program. But also, figuring, what works better in a bodybuilding sense. And to be quite honest, General Gains with the rep maxes and the half sets, it's opened up a different set of windows into how to view a person's training, your own training, how to get to these different points along the way in whatever pursuit that someone might have when it comes to lifting weights, because not everyone wants to just maximize their bench, their squat, their deadlift, press, whatever. Those things are all great. I really enjoy that myself. Some people just want to get big and juicy, and that's awesome. So I really hope to flesh out General Gains to where it can achieve that to a really good result for basically anyone and not make it overly complex. There doesn't need to be all kinds of different ways for a person to execute a set and add needless complexity to their training, because what that does is it sort of muddies the waters when you're assessing your own training. You're trying to see how to progress that next session, how to improve, and a lot of it really should just be kept simple. A scientific approach, with changing one thing at a time, observing, and then adjusting, and not changing too many things all at once, because then it clouds that observance. You can't make a good call if you don't know exactly what it is that has changed and had an effect on your performance. So that's one of the biggest factors when it comes to strength training, is that people like to what's called like program hopping, or they'll just change way too many things all at once. I like to change just one factor at a time and not throw anything at a wall or everything at a wall and just see what sticks and just go with anything that sounds good. It's always better to just manipulate one factor at a time, observe, adjust, so on and so forth. So that's what you're seeing here in these last few sessions, is me dialing in a different kind of training approach for a specific training plan that will be included in General Gains. Maybe a little bit too heavy on that one. Whew. Triple set got me going, boy. I just want to include that little bit from the session itself to show that the first sets of the T3's, I did have that movement a little bit too heavy, went down in weight. For the remainder of the T3 sets, it all went good. So this bodybuilding training plan, it's getting fleshed out. It's improving every session, taking notes on my own training and the training of the clients that I'm working with. Really liking the way that my training is going right now, seeing good progress so far, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. Thanks for watching the training videos. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, and thanks for buying merch from the Teespring shop. If you're interested in working with me, I got my email in the description box below. If you got a question on your training, go ahead and reach out. I try to get back to everyone. I do get quite a bit of questions, so some people do slip through the cracks. I apologize for that. If I don't get back to you within a week or so, send out a second email and I'll get back to you. Thanks again for all the support. I really do appreciate it.